meeting of the Waupaca County Law Enforcement Committee to order in the training room at the Sheriff's Office. Due to COVID-19, this meeting is conducted under Waupaca County Resolution number 8 and Governor Evers Emergency Order number 1. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. I have called it to order and taken the open meeting statement. Roll call shows that everyone is present. We now need a motion to approve the agenda. Please state your name and then your motion.
Mary Kay, so.
Yeah, I'm second that.
Okay, Mary Kay moves, Lee seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Likewise, with the minutes of the previous meeting that you would have gotten in your packet, I need a motion to approve, or if there are any questions.
Couple rules.
Kevin moves,
Mike second.
Buck seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comment.
Stand up. I'd like to introduce our newest corrections officer. Some of you were in the interview. No, you weren't in the interview. So, he's been here for about 2 weeks. Brian Lorke's from the Waupaca area.
Yeah, I just live south of town, south of Waupaca. Just in Waupaca County.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Brian Larkey. I grew up a dairy farmer. Decided to change fields, and here I am, excited to learn and take the opportunity. I went to, like I said, I went to school in Waupaca. I live south of town here in Waupaca, just in Waupaca County. Very family oriented. I have a daughter. Just like I said, excited to learn and be a part of this. So thank you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Any questions?
We're excited to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll introduce ourselves. We
Okay.
hope never to meet you in your job. I'm chair of the law enforcement.
Mary Coleman, I'm vice chair.
Kevin Will, supervisor. Lee White, the supervisor.
Cindy Hardy, supervisor.
The Captain County Board Chair, good morning.
Okay, Mon, how are you?
Thank you for coming. We appreciate meeting you and knowing you're on board with us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
See you Thursday. Yep, see you guys Thursday.
Okay, with that, we'll look at the bills, ask if there are any questions, and there typically are. Is there anything, Kyle, you'd like to call our attention to in this group of bills?
I went through them twice and I haven't found nothing remarkable, but I probably will find.
I will mention, in the upcoming months, if not this month, there'll be a lot more training. The trainings are opening up now, so we're able to attend to them, so there's gonna be a lot more cost. You know, making up the training that we weren't able to go to last year, so those will be coming up and showing up in the bills.
Did we have a double up on the wax gas? Was there something? I thought they said they extended March ahead or something.
I think it was more something with how it was coded. I don't think it was a duplicate or a double. Like they messed up something on their invoice.
Yes.
for like $5,400. Is that just a bunch of stuff together?
That is for, we're actual on one of our narcotics officers. That was a used price.
I was gonna say 2,000 items.
Whatever their overhead is.
There's a lot of overhead.
6%.
Yeah. That's, I think, the big issue with the highway shop is your overhead now.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that in our highway meeting. It went up like $300,000 for the new building, so it's,
Gotta be made up somewhere.
it's gonna show up now, unfortunately.
It was at 94% one time. What is it now at for this year?
I think it was 64. Let me look. See if I can remember it.
I thought it was 94.
Yeah, that's what I had read in the report, 94. After the new building, but maybe they.
I think the labor area is 64% overhead cost, but the building could be more than that, yes.
Oh, okay. So could
She was showing us all kinds of numbers last week.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no biggie, I was just kind of wondering.
Yeah.
I can say revenue is a lot slower than it was the years since a couple of years since I've been here. That's federal and state, it's just slow. Hopefully we're gonna get it.
I guess another question I could ask is, do you, from the highway end of it, do you want a monthly overhead compared to whole year overhead?
It's easier for us to quote it and keep track of what we have.
Yeah,
So we talked about that.
but I know we brought it up again at our meeting at the highway. So I think she was trying to figure out how to come up with a future figure, because now everything this year now will be a higher rate, so either way, well, no, but I just.
That's a shocking amount.
Yeah, it's a huge number when you talk about, the number, so if you get it just once, it's, like you say, it's gonna screw up your,
Easier to manage from more.
yeah, so I will make sure I talk to her, and make sure we're on the same page.
That's a good idea, Lee, because like they say, for the budgeting for the rest of the year, then they know what.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, I can accept a motion to approve the bills.
I'd so move. Mary Kay.
Okay, Mary Kay moves.
Cindy Hardy second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the bills. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We have signed the bills. So we move on to the communication subcommittee. Shane.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For the month of February, phone calls coming in and out of the comm center was 8,683. And for radio transmissions coming in and out of the comm center, we were at 56,864 for a total of 65,547. Total calls, radio and phone coming in and out of the comm center. Report last month, Susie Eggers was on phase 2. She is now on phase 3, doing very well. Great addition to the comm center. And unfortunately, I report to you as of today, we just lost 2 dispatchers. One is going to be done Thursday, and the other one will be done next week. One went to Outagamie County Sheriff's Office dispatch, and one went over to the courthouse. So I am going to be now 3 short. And what we said yesterday, Dick, with the interviews that we had last time, we lost 2 right off the bat to private sector. And so now with the eligibility list that we started for this time around, I've only had 6 applicants so far. So that's where I'm at right now. And out of those 6 applicants, they all look good. We're going to be doing the critical test with them next. Run them through critical, see where they rank. and get some interviews set up with them. And Dana is gonna just continuously keep the eligibility list going, so if we have any more new applicants, we can review them, set them up with critical, run them through that testing. The critical testing takes about 2 to 2.5 hours. And then that critical will rank them at whether or not they're, I guess, would you say interviewable? And we'll just keep right on plugging along.
Shane, I forgot to ask you yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Typically, when we're out there advertising for this thing, typically how many applicants do you get?
Usually, well, the first go around, I had 30 some, and then it was 20 some, and then this was a shocker with just 6. You know. You want to know, I can tell you right now, Marathon County 2 years ago, when I had 30 some, Marathon County had 0 for applicants. So they said I was fortunate. So, yeah, I don't know. It seems like private sectors are sucking them up.
Are you able to run your 911 center without a lot of issues?
Well, I'm short now, and we ended up moving the schedule around to the patrol schedule, so that I'm trying to maintain 3 people on a shift as much as possible, but I can't do it without posting overtime, forcing people. I got to force a gal next week for 16 hours just to try to keep things covered. And I can tell you right now, from looking in there with just 2 people in the comm center, it's not like it was 15 years ago when I was in there. Our calls have gone up. We've taken on New London. We've taken Manawa now has they're on our Spillman system, so we're making Manawa. Fremont's going to be coming on board. It sounds like maybe Marion's going to be coming on board. Yeah, it's you know what, an elbow is in there sometimes when it's busy. So, and I feel sorry for the telecommunicators right now if there's only 2 in there, because it's quite the show. I know my wife, she said she couldn't do it. Crazy.
Question.
Yeah.
As far as the people leaving, is there a general idea of it's, because we always hear that telecommunicators, there's a burnout, you know, you get a tough job like law enforcement. Is it that, or is it the pay, or do we know why we train them? Because it takes a lot to train them.
It does.
And then they leave. So is there a comment as to why they're not staying?
The one that's going to the courthouse, I know for her, it was scheduled with the kids. It's 8 to 4 type of situation, and no weekends. But the other one that went out of Gamey, she's closer to home. But then again, with her experience going over there, I'll guarantee you she got a bump. So
What kind of education do they have to come into this position?
they don't need any education other than the high school diploma, because all the training that we do with them, it's like a 6-month training process, because we do 3.5 months of the phases, and then we do almost 3 months of shadowing where they, we've got 2 other telecommunicators in there, and that person's on their own, but if they're struggling with something, we've got 2 other veteran dispatchers there that can help them out. And so it's about 6 months worth, and it's a lot that we're packing into them. And that's one of the problems we're finding out also with our dispatchers that are the field training officers. They're dispatching and training all at the same time, trying to keep things flowing. And now I'm going to run into a really bind where the ones that are leaving were FTOs. The one that's leaving, she was an FTO and she stepped down, but the other one was still a current FTO. So I'm going to have to find some new field training officers to replace them. But everybody's getting burned out because it is a stressful job to just be a telecommunicator. But then when you add the stress of being the training officer on top of it, trying to keep everything flowing, So I'm in a pickle.
Jane was at HR yesterday. We did some discussions and some beginning of discussion and see what possibly we can do. And the thing is, what we're gonna do, we should do soon.
Yeah, because now we've already used 20% of our overtime budget. Last year, I know we were 135% of that budget over, 35% over. I anticipate that to be a lot more. So that we have no control over. Our veterans officers have 5 weeks vacation. And then a lot of them don't have money. And now with a few leaving, we may have some more leaving. It really depends on overtime. So, yeah, keep that in mind too.
Thank you for keeping us informed, although it's not good news. Sure. Any other questions? Yeah, Kevin?
I'm wondering if, and there is some urgency on this, obviously, and additional costs because of overtime, as well as stress, and on top of stress, that's not stress. for this. Can we put something on our agenda that is more specific to finding out, for instance, if HR has discovered some reasons, as you point out, a few reasons closer to home or child care issues and such. But also the 5 counties around us, they may be somewhat of an issue, especially for the initial people coming to us. I'm wondering if we just can't, at least for the next month or 2, have it as part of our agenda, that this is brought up as to what might be reasons why we're having trouble recruiting people for this particular situation. For this I'm not talking as a whole, not to get too complicated. I think because of the urgency, as the sheriff says, because of how important for health of dispatchers, what are you going to do? You have to have if we can at least put it on our agenda so that this particular committee.
Shane is already on the.
I know
You mean
Shane is,
that
that's
you want
what I want.
Mandy to come from HR? Is that?
Not necessarily, but I mean, if there's information that HR comes up with that, or shared with Shane or the sheriff or whoever, or whoever it is, that can come back to us and make sure that, how can I say, that we're made fully aware of and perhaps can, support or give some input regarding what may come out of looking at this.
What?
We already have it on our agenda
Yeah.
today.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we, continue with that. Ensure that.
Yeah, it's on the bottom, like
Yeah.
number 14.
We'll keep that on there for a couple
For a couple of months, just to make sure.
If I may add to, I mentioned yesterday during a meeting that, we're not the only ones that's suffering right now with what's going on. I'm friends with the Shiloh County chair, and he went on a ramble the last time I saw him about all they are is a training center. These people have to get used to starting to pay people, he said. And we always try to pay the least in Shiloh County. So they want to go get, of course, the firm that studies what the normal amount is and all that type of thing, like we have. They never did that because it's too expensive. But no, they're in dire straits in many positions too. I don't know exactly which one. But all I had to do was sit down and listen to them about 10 minutes to be upset. So.
And Kevin, I can't discuss what goes on in closed session, but we had some homework to do also with Mandy on some information. So we're working on it. It's a sideline information tool that we're working on.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the corrections division.
I guess I'm asking you guys, would you like me to read the whole report? Just get some high points on it?
Why don't you just tell us? We can read it, you tell us what high points.
I guess I think I'll just streamline it. We get 150 bookings for the month. Nothing out of the ordinary for that part of it. 204 is a daily population, which is a really good number for us. Once we get to 220, that gets to be kind of high. We're seeing real good for facility wise, 27 inmates outside the facility. The fees and revenues collected, I think the only thing I really want to point out is that our sanctions are trending higher this year, which is good. Because that's kind of a take us, if you have space available, you can take them, we do. So it's kind of, you get up for other surrounding counties to come to us where other facilities may not take them yet because of COVID or other reasons of space needs. So we're trying to take as many as we can. So that's trending high. The kiosk and commissary revenue, we really haven't got the numbers in yet. So that's why it's zero. We'll be updated next month. So as for that, everything's looking right on par where we should be. As for other news, besides fees and statistics, you guys met Brian Lurkney? I think he's doing a wonderful job. Just really easy to talk to. I think he'd be really good with handling with the staff and the inmates. We had interviews last month, or 3 weeks ago. We have one that went pretty fast the process. She'll be starting in a month. She's from Sturgeon Bay. She had some background in corrections from Manitowoc County. She worked there, PD, she went to the road there, and then she went to Sturgeon Bay to work. And now she has a little one, and she decided that the jail is not as dangerous, but she wants to make sure she's around a long time for her child and likes the area, and so moved back here. So we got her started in a month. That other one from a couple of interviews ago has to finish schooling. We got her locked in to start in June. And we're starting the background on one other individual, and then if that all pans out, we'll hopefully be fully staffed. I went around and showed you guys the sprinkler. We made that damage that. I guess we'll probably hit on it at some point with the comm center that it created some damage down here also because it leaked through the floors. And so from my end of it, I'm going to look into, the facility is 20 years old and they might have better sprinklers that are even more tamper proof. So at least maybe covering that area of the jail that would be about here. I'm trying to update that area. So at the plate, nothing too crazy. In our remodel update for that window, they got the window in. They're hoping to have that completed, painted, and out of here by next week. They'll get the carpet in. We got to get some upgrades yet for intercoms and cameras. And then we can start getting people back in here for volunteers to help the inmates out. So, any other questions for me?
I think that this place is so new, and you just called it how old?
20.
Unreal.
But you
Find out where to shut off elevators and get the water to shut off quick.
that's what I was gonna say. Do we know what else could happen from up above to interfere with our comm center? I mean, this was something I hadn't even thought of.
Yeah, that's what it changed the conversation with Carl, with Venture and the architects, and looking up there now, what can they do to prevent damage?
Venture will be here next
Okay.
week, or this week, that's right. This week, right. We're gonna discuss that.
Okay. Good.
Well, vaccinating all your prisoners is,
That's been part of the discussion with public health. I think the thought process is if and when we go forward with that is wait till it's the one-shot dose, because people went through the door and out of here. Yep, it's been discussion.
yeah, no, I just didn't know if you, yeah.
Any other questions? We'll move on to the detective division.
Okay, I added a few more things on here just to give you a better idea of what we do down there. We are quite busy, so I thought I'd just expand on it a little bit. And, so for the child abuse and sex abuse complaints, the offense complaints, they increased. There were 7 in the month of January and 8 in the month of February. That included 2 child abuse complaints, and one of those resulted in an arrest, and one was unsubstantiated. Then of the 6 sexual assaults, actually 4 of those 6 were between teenagers where they were consensual, but with Wisconsin law, you can't give consent if you're under the age of 18. But just to give you an idea of what some of those are. Then we also had an elder abuse neglect case, and it was more of a neglect case. That one is still ongoing. And for the month of February, there were a total of 7 burglaries and thefts that were reported. And one was a burglary and the other 6 were thefts. And the one burglary was an incident that between an ex-husband, ex-wife, and a child retrieving some property, and the other one didn't know. So one of those types of situations. And then they were also busy. They executed or served 5 search warrants. And of those search warrants, there was one that was for blood, urine, and medical records. There were 2 that were for child pornography. There was one that was a Facebook warrant and another one that was a Google email account warrant. To give you a little more information on some of those, some of the things that we're doing.
Could you explain the difference between burglaries and theft?
Burglaries are when you enter a residence. Thefts can be out of cars, out of a purse, out of like property thefts. Like most of those, they were actually out of cars where there was change, money, cigarettes, things like that stolen. So burglaries are more residential buildings, things like that.
Thank you.
How easy way to put it.
Thank you.
Your Facebook, Google, what is that? In a lot of our investigations, there's a lot to do with people being on social media. And we normally get cell phones and we'll write warrants to get into cell phones, and we'll also write the warrants to also get into their Facebook accounts, Google accounts, things like that, to get information to help prove our case. There's a short way to say it without giving a lot of information. That's all right. Perfect. Yeah. Any other questions on that? Okay. For the narcotics division, they were also busy in February, and this is just a few things, but not, all of it. But they conducted numerous interviews in the Waupaca County Jail to corroborate future narcotics cases. They also conducted numerous interviews about a narcotics conspiracy case that took up quite a bit of their time. And they also conducted 2 drug purchase operations, and they will continue to purchase marijuana and methamphetamine from this source. They also obtained a GPS warrant in regards to suspects transporting methamphetamine and heroin into Waupaca County. And this investigation is also still on. Yes,
Without telling me something I don't need to know.
I'll try.
You put in a sentence they will continue to purchase marijuana and methamphetamine from this source.
Yes.
Why are we continuing to purchase?
Working with CIs and things like that
Okay.
is the short way to put it. Yes.
Okay. 'Cause I'm
To gather
thinking-
more information on people farther up the chain of command or up the food chain.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Julie? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to patrol division.
In February, we had 49 reportable accidents, 36 a year ago, 2 fatalities. We added a category this month. So we used to just have fatalities, but was that number how many accidents or how many people actually died? So we added the category. We had a fatality accident that had 2 people that died, and we had 1 fatal crash. We had 67 vehicles involved in crashes, 3 accidents involving drinking. Year to date, we've had 76 accidents, 3 fatalities, 2 crashes, which resulted in those fatalities. Traffic arrests, we had 216. OWIs, 13. Canine involvements were 7. That number is a little low. We're working on some reporting things that are going on to ensure that those numbers are all being counted. No SWAT calls, and we had 82,089 miles for the month, with a total for the year of 159,786. Our fatal accident occurred on February 6th at 3:15 p.m. on Highway 45 at Gilo Road, just north of Sugar Bush. That day it was very cold, the wind was blowing, the roadway was covered in ice. The northbound vehicle the husband was driving, wife was a passenger. They crossed the center line, lost control, crossed center line, and struck the southbound vehicle, which was operated by a single male, and struck almost head on. The male driver in the southbound vehicle passed away, and the wife, female in the other vehicle, or in the vehicle that crossed the center line, passed away. She was 76 years old. He was 63 years old.
Any questions for Kevin? Thank you. Will be placed on file next, the records division.
I don't have much, just going over the fees and revenue collected from the paper service. And we haven't gotten a lot of bad checks in quite some time, so that's a good thing. K-9 donations was $1,220 for just the month of February alone. And the 2 records clerks, they're both having babies. So next month we have one going out on maternity leave, so we'll be down 1 clerk until she comes back and the other one goes out in August.
Well, it's time for you.
Right, yeah, so that's all I have.
Is it doable with just one records clerk? Or does it
Yes.
involve overtime records?
Yeah, I think it'll be doable. I've also been out there making sure that I'm up to speed on everything that they're doing. Sometimes the officers or something come in and say, hey, can you do this? So they're keeping me informed on what those things are coming through there. So I'm also here to help if need be. So I'm not too concerned about that at all.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, then we'll go on to the sheriff's office report.
Morning. Like I said, a lot of my responsibilities were taken away, but I got the free time to kind of an open issue type thing, and I want to discuss 2 things. One, when I seen that room in there, it actually, blessing or not, with the water, if we wouldn't have seen that and we had all the consoles in and everything else, it would have been probably pretty tragic. Now we know that with 2 floors above us, and it happens throughout this building, there are certain areas. Shane's office had water coming down that, and we just always got to find the magic leak. And now when they come this week, we can always, they want to do a lot more structural, looking at, cracks and everything else, and pull the tiles and everything else. So that, whatever they got to do, trades or whatever they got to do, or equipment as far as switching out sprinklers, which 20-year-old building, sometimes that kind of thing has to be retrofitted with that type of device. The other thing I want to bring up, and after talking to the detectives this morning, this month on the 21st is the anniversary, is another day working on the cold case. It was the 21st that we had the Toxted Mumbroo homicide. I was on the department at that time, being a patrol officer. There's a few left, but there's not many. But I hate going and calling it an anniversary and being live, or whoever would see this. We're still working on the case, and I wanted to make everybody know that we were, always will be working on the case till it's solved. And I appreciate the law enforcement committee, because there's a line item budget area for this case. I appreciate all the sheriffs that it gave us the opportunity to work on this case. I think it is solvable. Sometimes you wait for science and technology to catch up, but still the investigation proceeds with or without science. People that go through life, there's certain circumstances when we work on cases, even with child abuse, they only come in contact with so many people. And that's what we were always trying to solve in this case. Who had contact? There's always a timeline. There's always, way to proceed with investigation, but you got to meet people and you got to work through that also. And I just hope it's solved soon before I leave. That's why I kind of stuck around, is to see this case through, plus the other case, Marcella Carpenter case. That we still is, you know, they consider them cold, but we still do work on them and we still, you know, do that. And that's with Jerry Moore too. Case was never, you know, came to an end, but we always look at these kind of things. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that the 21st is a special date for them and the families, and please keep on working on them.
Thank you. We appreciate our persistence and perseverance in trying to figure.
I also got, I should say also, when we traveled around the United States, they could not believe the commitment that Waupaca County, and they look at it on their maps and they do their reading, where's Waupaca, where are these guys coming from? You know, they would figure it would be Maricopa County or New York City, but it's Waupaca, and they go, how do you guys get your, you know, your county, your boards, your sheriffs, how do you get to do this? And it was one heck of an experience, and they know Waupaca County. So,
And I think the important thing is, Carl, that we know the people
yes,
that have been involved in as victims. And that's why we're willing to put forth the money to continue to find
yes,
who is responsible.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the medical examiner's report, Kathy.
All right, in February, we had 33 hospice deaths, 7 house deaths, 3 ER or under 24-hour deaths, 3 falls or fractures, no suicides, no nursing homes, no severe 2 fatals, and other 2 fatals I did get alcohol back and ultra negative. No drownings, no homicides, 1 fire death. That was a gentleman from the vet's home who was actually outside smoking, and Amber started his tobacco on fire that was sitting on his lap, and he had to wheel himself back into the facility, and he was engulfed in flames. He decided that he didn't want anything done. But thank you, Julie, for having a detective to come and help investigate that. No infant, no drug overdoses. I had 1 hypothermic death, and it was an elderly male who we believe was under the influence of narcotic, who lost his way after he put his car in the ditch and was found outside. No disinterments. I had 1 COVID death, 2 cremations for a total of 53 deaths. 1 was autopsied, and that was a hypothermic. 27 total cremations, 2 of them were county pay, and 6 COVID deaths. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Kathy? All right. Then we move on to the sheriff's report.
We have got 2 checks from for K9, 1 for $100 from Victor and Christine Anthony Vocal Trust. And this check was given in memorial for Bill Red Carlson, a longtime city police officer. So that's appreciated. We have another one from Neville's Motors for $1,000. We took a picture of last week. Appreciate everything they do for us. I don't think we have anything to discuss at the moment till we get down to more of the.
Okay. Then we can move on to the dive team update.
That we don't have any update on.
Okay.
I have a little bit of information, Sheriff, as far as numbers, if you want me to include that.
Sure, yeah, the numbers, yeah.
Okay, so speaking with Nate Nelson, who's one of the drug officers that also is gonna be, he's heading up the dive team, getting numbers, looking into the community to see where we actually have some dive members, what's the interest, and he's the one that put out the email to get the interest within the sheriff's office, which we reported last time. I think there was oh gosh, was there like 20 some that were interested just from the sheriff's office alone? Anyhow, he got me some numbers on cost, what it would be per diver. And it's a little over $8,000 per diver. And within those costs of the little over $8,000, there's about, I would say about 3,000 of the 8,000 that would be just a one-time cost. And so then the other roughly over 5,000 would be per diver. And of that 3,000, what that is included is like a 100-foot wire communication rope that you would just need the one, and all of the divers could use that. So that would be like a first time cost. Also within there is like, he has some like acronyms. So OTS MK7 Com Buddy System. And that's about $1,500. And that would be a one-time cost out of like roughly the 3,000. So you would need to get $1,500 per diver. That's for all of them to use. So the roughly other $5,000, which has to be per diver, that includes things like the full face mask, the cold dive undergarments, those types of things. Your regulator hookup to face masks and things like that. Your, let's see here, he has the PSV, BCD, which I wrote out as your public safety dive or buoyancy control device. I asked a lot of those things. So those things would have to be separate per diver. So you're talking a little over 5,000 per diver, but 8,000 start up because about 3,000 of it would be for all of the tail is a good number to start with, roughly.
So if you did start this up, the equipment, is that transferable to one diver to the next, or each time you have a diver, you would have to generate all the equipment?
Depends on the size of the officer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It can be transferred and the officers are the same stature.
Because a suit is,
Yeah.
you don't fit all, yeah.
The only
Keep
thing I
in
would,
mind, even though we had 20 people that applied for the 21, we only need 3, maybe 4 divers, 4 linemen, 1 lineman.
Yes.
It's not like we're gonna buy diving equipment for 21.
Yeah.
the only thing that I would strongly suggest if I were a diver is your own undergarment equipment. I would not want to share that with somebody else.
Yeah.
I would definitely say getting your own for that, even if you're the same size as another diver, the undergarment equipment, I would go with your own.
And this is all preliminary stuff.
Yeah. just-
Yeah.
You have a good point, Wayne, just like when it comes to like jail cert gear and stuff like that. If you have 3, you need 6 because it's mix and match and everything else.
Yeah, yeah. So is the equipment then the counties, or is this their, gonna be their own personal gear once you get?
Counties.
Yeah.
Correct.
Other than undergarments and such, you ain't,
I would.
like you say, you're not gonna change the underwear most of the time. Only do that in the service after a week all the day.
Okay, thank you. Then we have the jail medical RFP.
That was unfortunately not taken off of the agenda, so that was from the month before.
Okay. Annual report update.
Well, we're heading in the right direction. Kevin and I are gonna finalize our PowerPoint Friday morning. And we'll let you know for Tuesday.
Yeah, we were looking through the archives. Our last one, what year was that? 7?
I think it was 07.
07,
No,
06 or
it
07.
was older than that.
Older than that? It's a little better than that.
Part-
Update on the new dispatch center.
Well, we met with Tom last week. We talked over
Two weeks ago, Venture was here.
HVAC systems, HVAC system, and they took a tour of the old and what's here for the new. They had to be here 2-3 hours, huh?
They were here for 3 hours. We met with them for 2. And then the last hour, they went with Carl down to the basement, looking at the beam structure. We've got at the meeting, well, this room was full. We had IT here. I had maintenance here, two of my sergeants, plus two personnel from dispatch, one from days, one from nights, so they can give some input. Venture was here, their HVAC guy was here, one of their blueprint guys that was going over the electrical was here. One of the questions came up was Venture initially had our consoles on a raised platform for easier wiring. However, one of the gals from dispatch made the comment, if anybody's wheelchair bound or handicapped, we need some accessibility. We were thinking of setting up a console in the corner, but then the gals from dispatch got together and like, but then they're not part of the team when they're up on the floor. So, and they'll miss out on conversations. Like if we have a hot call, and a lot of times when you're taking a hot call, you're repeating things so your other partners can hear, so they can get the fire rolling or the ambulance rolling. That person would miss out on it. So, talked to Tom, he was thinking about a ramp. But unfortunately that ramp takes up so much room that we would maybe lose a console to make room for this ramp. So then we sent the email to Tom about, let's eliminate the raised floor if there's a possibility of doing that so that there's no stepping, it's just roll right in. So that's all discussions for Thursday. Also the water. We were thinking about if there's a way they can spray a sealer up here, like even like a foam, because foam would help deaden the noise from up above, and foam would help seal out any water. And we also thought having some tarps just on a shelf. So if we do have something major, grab the tarps, cover up the consoles, we're okay. So that's about where we're at, because Venture will be here on Thursday, and we have Thursday we'll have Venture, we'll have Raycom for the radio Zetron system. We'll also have some furniture folks here for the consoles. So that'll be rolling on Thursday.
Raycom was here last time.
Correct.
Now, you won't see the bricks. They're gonna pour them out. The drywall, it's open, tucking wires and stuff. So it'll deaden the sound as well.
Yeah, it sounds like this next meeting on Thursday is gonna be more technical. They already set aside 9 to noon.
9 to noon.
So they want to get into more of the engineering part of this, or how it's gonna work as far as the wiring. And everybody at the table, they appreciated being a part of it. That's the thing you always got to remember in a project, like IT, which is going to be a big part of it. Maintenance is going to be a big part of it. And then the transition team, and I learned that from when this building was built. My wife was on the transition team because it was Jackie and Sandy and Jim Neisler and everything else. And then you should have them on the ground floor when that project starts. So they know the inner workings of the way it's going, what was put into this and, the planning and everything else. And I think it's a good idea to have, a stake in that as far as the personnel from the comm center, and appreciate that they can make it in to see some of this, because some things, dispatching and communication centers, that you should be a part in this because you'll remember for the rest of your life how this piece was being built,
They were happy to see that office was already finished. That's cost savings right there.
Yeah, the sergeant's office. Downstairs, they're impressed, and I knew Tom Paulette would be happy because he was the one that did the architecture on this building. And he said, well, I did something right, because we were looking at how the water systems and air systems were going to work downstairs. And once we got in the mechanical room downstairs, he said it's a pretty much straight shot to where we want to get to. So downstairs, that engine, the younger gentleman, if I say younger gentleman, he before his time, even 20 years ago, he says, you did it right, because the lines were right, and what they seen originally should be the same process, you know, what they're seeing now, so we're glad to hear that.
Any questions? Not, then we'll move on to the additional personnel for the council. Shane? You?
It can be me and Tim. I can start off. With the added responsibilities, such as New London, we man New London's dispatch center all weekend, 24/7, and during the week, 6 p to 8 a.m., I'm sorry. So run until they get a dispatcher in, and I think she works out. Correct. Yes. So, and with all the other agencies coming on board with this film, that's all the information that they get sent out to the officers, receive it. And we actually changed their schedule starting May 2nd to the patrol schedule. Right now they have a, Shane, explain that schedule they currently work.
4 on, 7 off, 4 on, 3 off, 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 3 off, 4 on, 7 off, and so forth and so on.
Scheduling nightmare. We decided to go to the patrol shift, it's clean. Every other week you're off, you know, every other weekend you're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's gonna be easier for us to schedule that, but with people leaving, we're training people, we're getting to the end and then it is for various reasons. Go to the private sector where they can work day shift. Family doesn't work out working nights, and that's where the new ones come in, they come in on nights. Right now, what we got, who's the oldest thing for nights? If we go to this, when we go to the schedule, we'll probably have.
Jesse Schmitz will be the oldest one.
But as we go down the tier, we're gonna have a whole shift of people less than a year and a half on. So we need the extra people to at least, so we have 3 people on at all times, if not 4. Just too much work. You get a call in, now you're down to 2. We have to give people vacation. When we start forcing overtime, we get nothing but rumbles and bad attitudes. I get that. I'd be the same way. So in the stress, it's unbelievable. These people. And remember, they're the first responders to every call. And they have to make decisions on who's gonna get the call, how soon they need to get the call out, and then the phones ring in and more calls are down. So how many we need, I don't know. Clintonville ever stops, and Dick always says they won't, dispatching. That's an immediate 2 right there. So I think we should start building our team up a little sooner than later. And I know money's tight. For a 24/7 office like this, we can't afford that.
Did we ask for additional communicators in our last, for this year's budget?
No, I promised one of the town board members I would not ask for anyone, because you guys were really gracious. You know, you took a couple of positions from the jail and you gave them to us, one being lieutenants and one being a dispatch that we can't fill. Look, we're still trying to fill it.
Because I'm just concerned that typically, you know, when you vision ahead, you know what you're going to need, and if we're taking people on, we need to approach it at the budget time so that we get what we need when we need it. And it just seems like we just started this year and now all of a sudden we need this. Well, if we needed it last year, we should have gone for it with a bigger push to get it. And I guess that was my position when we took on some of the new people, new cities, I should say, with the dispatch. How can we do it with so few people, not knowing that people were going to move to other places? I think Shane said they were capable of handling it, but I totally get what you're saying. As we build the communications up and take over other municipalities, and as I understand it, it is the sheriff's department's responsibility for dispatching. Everybody could put out there and we'd have to do it all. I agree with this. I think we need to talk about, you know, a plan to have additional personnel and when we're going to try to attempt that, get it, how can we do it?
And I'm starting to push now for next year, if that's what it takes. But we gotta push hard because we have other departments in this whole county that need people too.
Right.
And, you know, it's like, Department of Health and Human Services, they've been trying to fill their positions forever. Get that. But if we don't start now, we really do need these people. And I don't think there is a minimum. We need a lot. That's the problem. One's not gonna do it.
And I think, Sheriff, after yesterday's meeting, I think one or two individuals realized what dire straits we're in with this right now. Even though you promised at one time, well, they try to lighten up on this hiring business this year.
No, and I honored that. I think
They
that was
understand now.
respectful to do that.
Yeah, that's,
But now we didn't know Fremont, Marion, and Iola were gonna get on board with Spillman. Because we pushed that through our capital forever in the last administration to pay for their Spillman. I don't think it's our responsibility. Their CAD system, so they were given great opportunities to get into Spillman, through Spillman. Low monthly payments, if deferred payments, I mean, cheap rates. We help with the training, which we're more than happy to do it, so it's done the right way. And we'll continue to keep that training up to date for them. But that's where we get the call in Spillman. Now, before, we didn't have to worry about their calls other than taking it quick. They're on a call. They entered all their own information in their own little CAD system they had, which is they're all data. So now they're on ours. Everything is stored at our IP.
we did have when I first came into this position, sheriff requested a 5-year plan. We did have a 5-year plan. And I just looked at that sheet last week and, there was dispatchers in there. It but the plan kind of got thrown into flux last year, so we kind of held off. And we realized that, but there is always, when you're looking at personnel, you know, there's wants, needs, and critical. And when you get to the critical, you wish you were that much farther ahead on that part, but we see there is times with the lack of personnel where you moved it up to the critical, you know, and we just hope we can get to the best information on, you know, the purpose and, you know, jobs, duties, and responsibilities, why it is a need, you know.
I fully support the idea that we're moving ahead with the proposal and, you know, and certainly for the next budget. You know, because we need it now. How can we sell it or inform them the critical needs of it? So good.
I will show you the old personnel plan from at the next meeting. I'll attach it in there and just see what it was 2 years ago before all, you know, just so you can see what I was looking at and why, you know, why some of them were put in. You know.
Well, and things have changed.
Yes.
I mean, that's why we're flexible.
Yep.
So good.
Ben, I agree with you. You know, we're all talking budget. I said this last time, numbers. We need the dispatchers. We need the critical people. You can't wait for the budget to catch up with the problem. So, you know, in my opinion, we have a reserve in the county. You have to, pick on Dick here, but, you know, we don't like using the reserve, but I think we need to get the critical issue to work. And not because you didn't want to hurt somebody else's feeling on the board and not request more people, but if we need them, we need them. And we should work on that angle that the money will come.
Well, wasn't that I didn't want to hurt him? I gave my word. So.
Well, no, but I mean, we have a critical issue here. You can't run the dispatch center efficiently with what you got. So we have to You know, and I agree, you give, and I give my word to my people too, but sometimes you have to change your, you know, hey, it's not working, we have to fix it, and this issue to me is something we have to fix. Enough said on my part.
We can't even run an efficient dispatch center with the amount of people we have. We have 2 sergeants. And their duties and responsibilities are totally different. And they shouldn't be sitting down in dispatch. They have their other responsibilities. And he has his responsibilities, but he's doing it all. He's almost in the mud with everybody else. He shouldn't be. How does he get his work done efficiently? How do the sergeants they can't even get their work done. You know, there's so many facets to this division that no one really knows.
Because I've lost my 2 sergeants now, May 2nd. They've been thrown into the mix of being on dispatch floor. So I'm gonna be calling on them to help me with recordings, because I'm not gonna be able to keep up with all the recordings. I'm gonna be asking Jody to probably step aside to get the MSEG, which is the emergency numbers, get all. I should have my blood pressure taken.
And we're all willing to do what it takes, but people in there also need attention too. So they're gonna start leaving. Then we're gonna be left with nobody.
You know, I have to say too that, since Sheriff Quinn has been in office here and started his regime here and came to a finance committee or came to, personnel committee, human resources, I should say, things have gone pretty doggone well between the departments. Unlike before, we never find out about it. Making big decisions like we're talking about now, never find out about it until the last second, or minute, or what might happen next year. That hasn't been the case here, and I know that the sheriff's department granted some good things this past year. That's only because the professional team here came to our departments and told us what really is needed to be done. They're not afraid to tell us. And so that those people in decision-making places, like finance or so on, understand and know that this is a serious study. And even though it's not going as smooth right now as we want it, I can always see it getting better, and we've got to fix the problem, I know. But it's only because of the communication we've had that it's gone this well. Didn't used to do that all the time that way. So we're on the right track. Just have to get it done now.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to dance hall permits.
We have none.
We have none, okay. Then we need the
tour.
tour.
I think you printed on the.
You printed the first one instead of the second. Yeah. Okay, so now we have our tour. And then after the tour, we will adjourn.
And we got a photo.
Yeah. When is the photo? After the tour?
Whenever we go, we'll let you know when the photographer's here.
Oh, okay.
How do you want to handle that with the Zoom?
We don't have a camera we can take along. So we'll just invite anybody who wishes to come along. They have to be here. No, because then we're together and that needs to be.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why it's first.
Chairman, I have another meeting at 10:30 I have to be to, so you'll have to ad lib how my picture gets in there.
Yeah, where is the picture being taken?
I don't want to do it here in front of the flag. Gone. Yeah, I can try calling her. If you guys want to start your tour, I'll call her and see if I can get her soon.
Okay, yeah, because we want Lee in on it.
I'll just mute this Zoom then for now.
Yeah.
They won't fire me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Jim's like.
This is magic. Everything went back to where it was.
This one like this. We changed it up a little more. Keep you on your toes. The chairs got rearranged.
Let us know when you come.
I did already.
Oh.
Yeah, it's surprising when you look at this.
I had to do that. Lowered all the chairs.
Put underneath.
Now that the committee has returned from their sheriff's department tour, and two of the members had to leave us, we can now entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Okay, moved by Coleman, seconded by Will at 11:06 to adjourn this meeting of the Law Enforcement Committee. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes. 30 minutes.